Today I am going to guide you a little bit on achieving happiness and peace of mind when you're ready to give up on life. If you've clicked on this video, it means that you're at a point in your life where you feel like giving up. There is something you need to let go of. Being able to choose yourself in any situation is not selfish, you know. Self-care isn't selfish. Self-care is very sexy, actually. Self-care is very cool, very good, very empowering, very powerful too. Self-care is gonna make you go so much further than the ones who don't take care of themselves. Like, you're not a bad person for choosing yourself for once. You know, the for once part is kind of getting to me as desperation, but really, like, it's alright, you know? It's gonna be cool, it's gonna be good. The more you hang on and the more you're capable of being with yourself, the less these things are gonna affect you. Just being in your power and not giving a fuck and just living your truth and just being your own very best is just gonna change everything for you. But yeah, so first of all, I'm gonna start with a poem that I wrote while meditating and reflecting, and then I'll go into a little bit of explanations on the poem and what I think it might mean for you. I'm gonna go also into my own personal story. This is gonna be really raw, so trigger warning for those of you that are really sensitive at this time. I'm gonna talk about like trauma, bullying, abuse, drugs, and suicide, so be warned that like the story is crazy. I'm gonna go also into the lessons that I've learned along the way and helping myself and then helping others through the lessons I've learned from the situations I was in, and healing from the pain and then healing others through my healed state, because heal people, just like hurt people, you know. So the poem goes as follows. Among the brightest lights lived the shadow, unreal window into the past of a widow, rebalancing of a power that couldn't be, ecstatic kindness without power turned into vulnerability. But what was Dai's ability? In the face of disrespect he fought for what he shall get, always giving, never ending, silenced by the weight of who he has met, always helping, never getting, actions coordinated for he shall be a prophet, sacrificing, never crying, and know the balance was perfect, blind kindness as a weakness, foretold stories he shall never live. Cold and heartless those cowards were, but regardless the light desperately tried to give, the shadow only growing stronger after each act of kindness. Kindness kept thoroughly throughout the years spent isolated, longing for future without fears. But the shadow kept coming with each scar deepening, inflicting fear unto thyself, forgetting the essence of the light's health. The widow grieved after the shadow's longing, never feeling a new kind of belonging. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this poem. So let me know how the poem made you feel in the comments, what you can resonate with it, and let me know, because I really enjoyed doing this poem and I think it's cool. So for a breakdown, you are the light and the shadow, you know. Amongst the brightest lights live the shadow, so you have all these beautiful lights inside of you that are like trying to creep back in, because they sure are. Even subconsciously, humans don't like to be feeling bad, you know. And the reason why we are so desperate sometimes with hope and stuff is not because it's hard to get into a state of hoping. Actually, getting into a state of hope is counterintuitively so easy that it makes us feel sad when we can't achieve the fruits of the thoughts we put into the hope and what we want for ourselves, you know. And amongst the brightest lights lived the shadow, unreal window into the past of a widow, Unreal Window into the Past of a Widow in this sense is pretty much like about the widow. The widow is a character that is sad, that is hurt, that is grieving, obviously, and that like is very misunderstood by many, you know? Not just widows in general, but like also the spiders, the black widows might be significant for someone. They're very misunderstood, you know, black widows. They're very shy and protecting, but once they feel threatened, they won't hesitate to bite, and one bite kills, you know. You might have that energy about you that like if you want some things to go out of your life, whether it's like some people or some spaces, you know how to navigate the stuff so that you can get this out of your life. And you might be looking back, you know, Unreal Window into the Past of a Widow. You might be looking back into your past and somewhat like trying to reflect on what happened to you so far, and you might be in a place where you're like, hey, that was kind of nice, when in reality, if you really look at it, it wasn't that nice. It's just like the emotional layer of things that are playing with your head. Please just keep an open mind on this. It's very like abstract, so you know, everyone will have their own meaning. It's art. It should comfort the disturbed and disturb the comforted. Yes, rebalancing of a power that couldn't be is the balance and the power of light that can't be if you are the shadow that doesn't integrate with the light, you know? Ecstatic kindness without power turned into vulnerability. That might be just the shadow talking because you've been, like, kind to a lot of people. You've been backstabbed by a lot of people, maybe. And, like, you just sometimes feel like you can't be in power because the kindness you give isn't being put back. But what was Dai's ability? You might be questioning what is wrong with you when you're extremely kind, you know? In the face of disrespect, he fought for what he shall get. This character that is probably you or just your shadow self. He fights to get his truth out, but his truth is based on lessons from pain, you know? And it can be really confusing at times when you're in a situation where you don't understand why some things are happening to you, because like some people just will backstab you and some people will just not be good for you, and these, as much as it hurts, you know, there are some people which cannot follow you all throughout your life. Sometimes there are lessons to be learned with these people. Sometimes they themselves are a giver of lessons, both positively and negatively, you know. We're all phases inside others' lives, unless our own, but you know. He fought for what he shall get is about the desire of happiness and change. Not just like happiness, just change in life, you know, when you're feeling so down that you fucking wanna die and self-sabotage and do a lot of stuff just because the numbness you feel so deeply is needs to go, you know. And you have to fight it, but not just fight it, you also have to embrace it, to embrace the fight and embrace the change the fight brings. But stay mindful, you know, stay mindful of your shadow, because like always giving, never ending, your shadow always tries to give you some stuff, and it never ends, you know? It always wants your highest good, but it sees what hides in the dark, you know? Some subconscious things you might not even be aware of, some patterns of thoughts that don't serve you anymore. Just like changing some beliefs, learning to live and learn to be with yourself, you know? Always giving, never ending. You might be someone that overextends, overgives, and pain never really ends for you on this. Whether it's like efforts or trying to make some situations, like always helping. Silence by the way of who he has met. Silence by the way of who he has met is this shadow being silenced by the light and the changes letting go can give, you know? Always helping, never getting. Again, that's about unrequited situations where you give your all to something without ever letting go of it, and that's a strength, you know, that's a great strength. But that's the energy might not be placed in the right spot, as hurtful as it sounds. Also goes back to science by the way of who he has met. Maybe you feel something about someone and you just can't tell them for some reason, and you have to make peace with that, because like you could tell them, I'm not saying you couldn't, but like actions coordinated for he shall be a prophet talks about living your truth and not letting others influence your truth, you know? Because in the end, no matter the point of view someone has of you, you know you, you know? And always sacrificing, never crying. Maybe just, yeah, you're being numb and numbed so much by what happens that you don't even have tears left to cry, you know? I feel you because I've had a lot of moments like that, and also I've had some recently, you know, but that's not the subject. I'll go back to this in my personal experience and the lessons I've learned, but not right now. And though the balance was perfect, the balance in your life might be a lot better than you think. It might not even be just perfect, you know, but it might be already a lot better than what it was even like a few months back, a few weeks back. And even if it's not the case, it can start now, dude, you know, like it's okay to have moments where you feel like you're just fucking trying to get better and just get by. But after the moments where you're just getting by, there's some kind of light that grows into you, you know, like getting by is the energy of trying to find ways to escape from your own mind and to pretty much experience new things. But like we suffer a lot more inside of our minds that we do in the real world, and we are doing mostly better than we think IRL, you know? I mean, it depends on your situation. I don't know you specifically, you know, but like, yeah. Blind kindness as a weakness, foretold stories he shall never live. It's the shadow saying that, like, in this Machiavellian fashion, that, like, blind kindness and always trying to see the good in others makes you feel like you're imagining some stuff that will never happen. And that might be the case, you know, like, I'm gonna keep it real with you. You might be imagining some futures that are not gonna happen. But, like, it's imaginative, it's imagination at its finest. And the way to transmute this situation that will never happen, because you might realize some things which are not good for you, but would have allowed you to get into some situations. You need to stay healthy to be at your best potential, you know? And so, feeling like your blind kindness and having a big and open heart, even though no one really gives you back this support, this love, this kindness, kind of makes you become cold and heartless over time. Like, this mentality of me being kind is a weakness, me being a source of love, being a source of light is a weakness. It's not gonna get you very far. It because like living in your own truth is also about saying things how they are, you know, especially with some people, some situations, like facing facts about yourself that prove you that you can do some stuff, and you can really do anything you want when it comes to projects and being proactive. But with people, it's kind of different. You can't change people, you can only inspire to make them change. You cannot control their reactions, you cannot control the narrative on how things go. And yeah, people might be toxic, and that's because they also have things to learn on their own, you know? And a lot of people don't want to face these things about themselves and put in the work to be better and just happy in general, because like the comfort in being sad, thank you Kurt Cobain, the comfort in being sad is very tricky, because without hope and without the light, you embrace the darkness, you embrace the shadow, you make love to the shadow, and you put yourself in very dangerous situations. Yeah. Also, yeah, I'm gonna again talk about this in my personal experience, but like, just know that all that I'm saying are things that I've learned and that I have had to learn. And even though, like, yeah, this is a reflection zone video, you know, I really hope that you can listen, just hear me out, and apply this for yourself, you know, because I truly believe everyone can be happy with the right mentality. I'm not saying I have infused science, but I'm I want to be a healer, you know? And I don't want to be an influencer that lies to people. Like, I don't even like the term influencer. For me, I'm just a creator, you know, creator of change. Again, as I've said in previous videos, I create the change that I want to see in the world, and I transmute my passion and the lessons I've learned into something tangible that others can learn from, you know. So yeah, you might feel cold and heartless because of the situations which you put yourself into, but regardless, like, light desperately tries to give into you. Everyone has their own light, and when you make love to the shadow, you might not even want to look back at the light, because you feel so comfortable, like you feel so comforted by the darkness that, like, you don't even want to light a little candle for clarity on this, you know. Just being able to be a light in the dark for yourself is gonna allow you to change so much stuff about yourself. And yeah, in the point about helping others later down this video, this is a really long video, I'm aware, but like, I don't want to gatekeep anything, you know, when it comes to changing your life and being a force for good and helping others and helping yourself mostly, because like, if you don't help yourself, you're not going to be able to heal anything. That's just what it is. The light inside of you desperately tries to give you a sense of hope that things are gonna get better, and the shadow just makes you do a lot of stuff the best version of you wouldn't be doing if they already had the problems that are influencing the behaviors you're having to be existing, if that makes sense. Like, putting yourself in dangerous situations to feel something when you feel numb is a very dangerous game. Again, I'll talk about that in my experience. But like, the shadow only growing stronger after each act of kindness it is important to stay kind when you're the shadow. Growing stronger might be a double entendre about like it grows stronger when the kindness is not given back, but if you give the shadow the kindness to itself, and if the shadow gives its kindness to itself, it grows stronger in the sense that it becomes lighter, it becomes nice, it becomes flexing, it becomes strong, it becomes good. Kindness kept thoroughly through the years. I feel like if you're here, then you're very sensitive about other people, You might not be, and that's okay, but like, if you're not sensitive about other people, you can't really be sensitive about yourself. Because, like, I personally love people. Yeah, there are people which I despise, that's not the subject. But I love unconditionally everyone. I have this very protective aura to myself, and I have this very deep need to inspire because it's my purpose, and I like being the light, and keeping this kindness thoroughly throughout the years ultimately just made me able to stand in my power and be who I am, despite like the shadow kept on coming with each scar deepening. Like, when scars rise in my life, the shadow just takes over a little bit more. But like, just healing fear, it's like scars which are not healed will suck the light inside and make you forget about it, And that's very scary because without hope, without healing, you might feel very lost. And being lost is cool in a way because it means that there's so much room for more, You might be lost because you're actually trying to free yourself or in the process of being free. The widow grieved after the shadow's longing, never feeling a new kind of belonging. The widow, again, is the misunderstood character which had to grieve this situation, this longing the shadow had for something. Never feeling a new kind of belonging means that the widow, if she doesn't change her mind on the grieving and just change her mind, will never feel like something better can come apart from what the shadow longs for, And that's a very tricky situation. So now we have gotten over the poem and the analysis I reflect upon within this poem. I really hope you can let me know what you're feeling so far in the comments, because I already feel like there is so much stuff that are being said, that ultimately are trying to make a reaction in your mind of some kind. And just let me know, okay? Because I'm just trying to be a guide here for you, and I'm trying to, even though I, stumbled a little, I'm just trying to be deep and a deep force for you to get back on top, Again, as I was saying, I don't want to be an influencer because these people want you to keep coming back to them and they gatekeep part of the information, and that's not really what I want. I want you to be happy. I want you to be healthy. I want you to, even if you don't watch me anymore in the future, I just want you to listen to my point, try to hear me out. I made peace with being temporary because we all are, in a way. And if you're thinking of being even more temporary than you should be, that you're destined to be, then get help. Yeah, getting help in itself isn't necessarily gonna help you. It's more what you do with the informations that come to you that are gonna help you, if that makes sense. So yeah, right now we're gonna go into my personal story so that you can pretty much understand a little better where I come from on these views, because I feel like some of you are like, what the fuck does he know, you know? But like, all of these things are stuff that help me become good and become happy. So I just want you to be happy, and so I share with you my story. So ever since I was a kid, I was very lonely. I was someone who didn't get along well with other kids because they were just mean for no reason. I've always been very lonely because, like, I'm a bit too intelligent for some people. I guess I just don't care now. I'm just happy being intelligent, because if I was dumb, Jesus Christ, man, I would be fucking out of here. Ever since I was a kid, I've been different. I had very hard situations at home. I lived in a chaotic household during my childhood. There were some good things about it. There were some very bad things and dark things about it too. But like, I never really had a childhood. I spent it just escaping the real world. But I still saw the real world, and that's why I was trying to escape, you know? And with time, the situation didn't get any better. There were some moments which were easier, that's for sure, but like, my parents divorced when I was 14. I already had gone through a lot of burnout at school, and stress and post-traumatic stress and heavy stuff in my life by then, and a lot of trauma too. I've seen a lot of things, and it didn't feel good for a very, very long time. My parents divorced when I was 14. In the hospital, I had, at the same moment, trigger warning again, I was groomed by a man. I will not say any more of this because you don't need to know, but just like, I wasn't raped, I was just very uncomfortable and like sexual assault, which, you know, I had a lot of problem with sexuality growing up. I've always been a little too open about it for most people, but for me it's just because it's natural. It's a natural thing. I'm not saying that I only talk about it. In fact, I rarely talk about sex because, like, a gentleman doesn't go kiss and tell. But for a long time I had a lot of toxic relationships during my teenage years. I had relationships with people which were very toxic, which I found in environments which were very bad in general. You don't go to these places if you don't have a problem already. And I've been cheated on, I've been lied about, I've been lied to, I've been bullied by people pretty much my entire life until I was like 18, and then just COVID hit, and then boom, you know. But I'm gonna go back on this later. My entire teenage years were also marked with being hurt, you know. When you get cheated on multiple times by people which lie to you and make you believe that they love you, you become heartbroken, and you give into the shadow, you give into the hunches, the drugs, the whatever, you know. I was already on heavy medication when I was like 15, 16. I had a lot of trouble with my mental health and knowing what was the problem with me. Turns out I have the ID. I already made a video about it if you wanna go watch it. But yeah, regardless, I always kept this kindness about myself, and when I was hurt, I hurt a lot of people, and I regret it deeply, you know. But I've made my peace with my past. I'm not the person I was, whether it's like 10 years ago, or even like as far as 5 years ago, you know, like even 2021 version of me is absolutely not the same person. And it's so cool just being able to reflect on this and say that, yeah, actually, I did a lot of good work already, you know. But if you're in the situation where you're feeling bad, if you're still in the shadow zone, please just get rid of the things which do not serve you any good. It might hurt so bad to let go, but I've lost so many things. I can tell you the grief is worth it. The lesson you get from the grief is worth it. I lost my cousin, which was 19 years old, and I was 21 at the time. It was very sudden and it hurt a lot, and I already had lost a lot of friends of mine due to drugs and the situations I was putting myself in. Been to at least 10 burials and ceremonies about death or the death of someone I love. I've lost a lot of pets, I've lost a lot of friends. I never really identified with parts of my family. I'm just like very different, but I can perceive the gifts I was given, which is cool, you know. But back to like hurt people. I really hated a long period of my life. And even though I've changed so much and I don't really give a fuck about what people say about me anymore, I don't let my ego play over me, you know. I stay very humble, I stay very focused, very sensitive, very emotionally kind, you know. Like, I give people room to get better on themselves and I just watch what they do, you know. I'm not like, I'm a force for good, yeah, but I'm not gonna follow and chase someone that doesn't want my help or that doesn't value me at my best. Know what I mean? Some people I knew when I was down, and they didn't deserve me and didn't deserve my friendship and my kindness. And I just let go over time because I grew out of it, you know. Growth in itself is something that helped me so much, and just like growth just made me able to reflect on the relationships I had, the toxicity I was putting myself into, the isolation I went through. Also, with pretty much my entire life I was lonely, you know. I always felt alone, and there are very few people which I truly love and get, you know, and see. Very few people that I surround myself with on a very regular basis, because like I'm still trying to forge my tribe and I have discernment over a lot of people. Actually, intuition and discernment are very useful when it comes to happiness, because like if you analyze patterns very well and particularly do diligently, may I say, then it really becomes this moment where you're just like, yeah, I see everything before it even happens. And don't think there isn't a world where things wouldn't be good, but just realize that if things are not good, then they probably won't get better, especially if it's been a very long time. I'm mainly talking about people here, situations which do not even involve other people. You can absolutely change. It's giving yourself the room to grow, you know? And being so alone and so singled out ever since I was a kid, it just made me very reflective, you know, to the point where I had pretty much every label under the sun. You know, I was the freak, and then I was the hot guy, and then I was the packing emo, and then I was the fucking, I look like Jesus, and then, you know, I have a fucking long ass lore, you know. But, ooh, shit. I have a long ass lore, but whatever, like, being alone made me so easily able to reflect that I can understand whatever, I've been able to learn so much just pouring into wisdom, knowledge. And if you like tarot and card readings and stuff, it's I am a mix between the Empress and the Hangman. A very strong combination. Um, Here is an explanation for those of you who don't do tarot and the combination, what it is. And so, yeah, my personal story made me learn so much stuff that made me able to heal. I'm not going too deep into the situation about myself because there are some parts about myself which I put boundaries on the world to know. I'm trying to protect my peace, protect myself, and just saying, yeah, I had multiple times where I wanted to kill myself and I tried multiple times and it didn't work, and I'm thankful for it not having worked because I had divine interventions. In a way, I saved myself. The day that changed everything was a few weeks before I met my girl. I took a lot of medication in one go, and then I mixed it with alcohol, and I could feel myself go, and I was pretty much leaving the world. And then I had a vision of light, just me as a higher version of myself, as the best version of myself, really. I saw myself just being happy and being the person I would have needed back then. And just I knew it was me, but I was seeing myself from the point of view of my higher self, and I was surrounded by the people which I love, and some people I don't even know yet, but just I trust the process of getting to know them. It might sound very weird and very woohoo but just a near-death experience changes you, and you don't need to get into a point of near-death experience to apply the changes. If something really has to change in your life, if you're really motivated enough to make a change, if you're really inspired enough to make a change, if you've received enough love to make a change, because even in the beginning you might not love yourself, but if you surround yourself confirmation burp, if you surround yourself with the people that love you, their love for you, you're gonna start integrating it even without realizing it, or even without seeing what they see about you. You're just gonna subconsciously start to integrate it. And that's why I love being a source which gives people room to grow. It's because seeing my kindness, I give it to people, and I see it in them too. I have a very big power of discernment, and not everybody has that. You don't need to wait to make a change. If something comes, it's either because it hurt enough that you really had to make the change, it felt good enough that you just changed naturally, you were inspired to change because you received enough that you were inspired to, and you loved enough and you were loved enough that it integrated over time. These really are the 4 times where people really change. And it's really a truth of life that when you put yourself in a situation which is outside of your comfort zone, a lot of more times than other, you're gonna get so much more about it. What I recommend here is just transmuting this energy. That's really what helped me to stay afloat all these years and have blind faith into myself, is just showing up even when I don't like to, even when I feel hurt, even when I feel depressed. I have a very weird workaholic relationship where I work so much on what I love. What I love is what I'm creating, and I'm creating what I love. So it's this never-ending cycle of love and passion being poured into something and it being poured back into me. And I love it. And the reason I have this is because I have something bigger than myself to focus on, you know? When you feel comfortable enough with yourself, people will see this change in you, you know? When you feel good enough about yourself, people will see changes, even small ones, you know? People might notice, or like there are a lot of people who won't notice because a lot of people don't look at the details because they're surface level, you know? But if you're still here, it means you're deep, you know? It means you wanna be deep like me, and you wanna change, and you wanna be super fucking cool, and you wanna be super fucking hot, and you wanna have that feminine energy of I don't chase, I attract. Whatever comes for me, you know? I'm just trying to make you laugh, you know, right now, because I feel like some of you might have been relating like, oh my god, this video hurt so much. I'm not saying it in a mocking tone. I'm just saying like, yeah, you might just be sad, and hearing my message is so comforting that you allow yourself to cry on it. Or fall asleep too, if it's resonating with you so well that like you managed to fall asleep on it. That just makes me happier, you know, because at least I brought you peace for a night, which is very cool. But anyways, yeah, this video is already pretty long, but it's amazing. It's amazing. You know, it's this feeling of when you're good enough, things just come back to you in so many ways. And just like being able to plant the seeds. I've been talking about these topics for the past few videos now that I've made, but I'm really able to share something here with all of you that I feel would be beneficial to so many more people. I want people to be happy, I want people to be healthy, and even though like we live in very dark and scary times, I just wanna let people be happy regardless of whatever happens, you know? Just standing in your truth, fighting for what you believe in, fighting for your happiness, and finding the power within your happiness and your passions, and hearing your call and hearing like your purpose, you know? So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you think about it in the comments, what it made you feel, what you take out from this video. Subscribe to the channel so more people can hear this wisdom I give you. Until next time, please guys, take care of yourself and your loved ones. Be mindful, be kind, take care, and yeah, YouTube thinks you might like this video that I made. Let me know what you think about this video in the comments of that video. So yeah, until next time, take care, I love you, stay positive, you fucking rock, motherfucker.